Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be teaching you how you can record your PC games or your PC screen or your Facecam using OBS Studio. So OBS Studio is, in my opinion, the best recording software out there, and even though it is free, I think it is one of the best even among all the paid ones. So you can live stream with it, so it is originally a live streamer, but you can also record videos, and the quality with it is really good, and the performance loss is minimal to none depending on how good your computer is. But even on really low end computers, OBS really doesn't take a hit on your frame rate at all. So to download OBS Studio, go to this website, obsproject.com/download. Make sure you do OBS Studio and not OBS Classic, because OBS Classic is the first version and OBS Studio is a lot better than OBS Classic. So make sure you choose your operating system. If you're on Mac, Linux, or Windows, I have Windows 10, so just do a download installer because it's easier, and don't worry, there's no viruses that go with it or anything. So now once you've installed it and downloaded it, this is what it will look like. So it'll probably be all white to you. It won't be this black and gray theme, and I'll teach you how to change that later if you like the dark better. So before we actually do scenes and mess with anything here, you want to go change your settings. So go to settings there. And in general here, you can change your language, and this is where you can change your theme. I have the dark one. If you go to default, it's the white one. I don't really like it. I really like dark theme a lot. There's another one here, which it's just another theme. It just changes how the program looks. Doesn't really affect anything. I like dark, so I'm going to keep it like that. So also, after you change any settings on a window, make sure you always press apply, just so it always saves. So we're not going to be messing with the stream tab because we're not streaming. This is just a local recording tutorial on how to record and save it and upload it to YouTube and stuff. So what we want to do is actually go down to video first. Your base canvas resolution. So this is basically what you want to choose is the resolution of your monitor. So I have a 1080p monitor, which is my main one, which is what you'll have your game monitor you'll play your game at. So choose 1080p. So basically just choose the highest resolution for your base canvas. So output scaled resolution is the resolution you want the video to be, like the video file to be at. So if you don't really want to record 1080p 60 FPS like I'm going to show you in this video, then I recommend doing 1280 by 720 because the file size will be much smaller and the quality is still pretty decent. And honestly, if your computer is not a really good computer and you can't do 1080p 60 FPS, 720p 60 FPS is better than 1080p 30 FPS. It's just for gameplays. If you're doing a tutorial, like you're just gonna record on your desktop, then do 1080p 30. So if I'm gonna teach you how to record gameplay. So if you have a pretty decent computer, just do 1080p, and then this is the frame rate right here. Do 60 FPS. So the downscale filter is how good you want your video to be. Basically, bilinear is the worst, and Langzos, I don't know how to pronounce it, is the best quality because it's the highest with the most samples. You can do this one, but of course the file sizes will be bigger. I think bicubic is good. It's a good balance between file size and quality. So, but again, if you want to do 720p, just do 720p and output scaled resolution. Then you press apply. So now you can change your hotkeys, and I actually do recommend setting your start recording to a hotkey. I have it on Shift numpad minus, but you can do like Shift F9 or whatever, or Shift F10. Just make sure you do it a hotkey that's nothing else uses, like no game uses, because OBS, it doesn't have a frame rate counter on the top right or top left when it comes to games. Like there's no way to show if you're recording or not. So I recommend using a numpad if you only have one, if you're using a hotkey if you only have one monitor, so you can recording without having to alt tab. So yeah, I recommend doing a hotkey for that. Advanced is also pretty important, so make sure you listen here to this video because it's a pretty important part of the video. So process priority, this basically changes what priority OBS is, like what priority it puts OBS at your computer. Make sure you just do above normal, that's fine. Your renderer, I only have one choice here, Direct3D 11. So if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, I'm pretty sure I have an NVIDIA graphics card. My specs are an i7 4790 and a GTX 970, so I have a pretty decent computer. So, but yeah, that's the only choice I have, so choose that. So for the color format, just how good the colors are. NV12, it's actually, they say it's the best for streaming because it's the lowest one. If you're recording, you can go a little bit higher. Even it says here, warning, color formats other than NV12 are only intended for recording, and it will increase your CPU usage. So I have a good CPU, so I can go a bit higher. Of course, I'm just going to do this one because I don't really like working with the big file sizes, but I really do recommend doing one of the higher ones if you want. and color space 601 is fine, and make sure you have this at full. So make sure you don't want to, you don't want to do any audio monitoring. I actually left this all at default. I only touched general and video, so then press apply and you're good there. So now we go to the output tab. Again, don't do stream because we're skipping that, and go to the recording. So actually, before, you want to go to output mode and make sure it is at advanced. So simple, it's not good. There's no settings. You have to really change the settings and go to advanced. Make sure you have advanced ticked. Now go to the recording tab here. Make sure type is at standard. And recording path is just where you want your videos to go to. I have it on my D drive. I recommend, saving your videos to a drive that's on a separate drive from where your games are, because it's better if you record your videos to a separate drive so it doesn't, lose any performance for your gameplays. Recording format, I really recommend MP4, and YouTube recommends MP4 because it's the file size that's the easiest to work with, and it's the most compatible with virtually every program and website out there. So yeah, make sure you have it at MP4. So audio tracks, you're probably going to only have one audio track to start with. So I'm going to teach you how you can actually separate your mic audio from your recording, your desktop recording and Discord audio or whatever. I'm going to teach you how to separate that so you can, in your editor, there will be two separate audio tracks. So that you can edit your mic audio separately from your desktop audio so they're not on the same track. And I'll teach you how to do that. It's actually very simple and you don't need any other program. So this is pretty important too, encoder. So if you have an NVIDIA graphics card like me, make sure you do NVENC H.264 because that is the one that will use your GPU to its full advantage. If you have an AMD graphics card, then there will be another encoder option. It will say AMD something. It's gonna be another choice in this window, in this drop down list, and it's gonna say AMD on it. Make sure you choose that one. So since I have an NVIDIA graphics card, choose NVENC H.264. Rescale output is if, again, you wanted to record a 720p video, then you click this box and do 720p. But this tutorial I'm teaching you how to do 1080p, so I will just uncheck that. Don't put anything in custom muxer settings. That's for like actual coding that you want to copy paste in there. I'm not gonna pretend I know anything about that, so I'm just gonna leave it blank. So down here, this is where you control all your bit rates and stuff. The bitrate is basically the higher the bitrate number, the better quality, the more crisp your video file will be. So basically you can have a 1080p video with a high bitrate and it will look better than a 1080p video with a lower bitrate. Make sure for video recording and for streaming, do CBR. That stands for constant bitrate. Basically it means that your bitrate, whatever you chose here, this is 30,000, your video will always stay at 30,000 bitrate no matter what. If you do VBR, if there's a scene, if there's a part of your gameplay where maybe you're in the pause menu and there's not much action happening, then the bitrate will be, it will go higher because there's not much action. So you can do a higher bitrate, but then when you suddenly get into like fast-paced action stuff, the bitrate will change, and then it will, cause buffering, it will cause low quality and stuff. So make sure you just do CBR because it will be a constant bitrate no matter what. So the actual bitrate number really depends on how good you want the video to look, but of course a higher bitrate will have will produce a bigger file size. So if you have a decent computer, I have a 970 i7 as I said before. I can go higher than 30,000 here. I think 30,000 is a good balance between file size and quality of the video. The reason I don't go higher is because my upload speed is very, very slow. So if I do a higher file size, then it'll take like 3 hours to upload a YouTube video. So I think for me 30,000 is good. But if you have a worse computer than me, maybe you have a 950 or a 1050 or something like that, which is actually still pretty good. Or if you have an i5 CPU or something, you can go down to maybe 25,000. Or if you have a really bad computer, maybe even 15,000, but the video will start not looking that sharp. For me, I think 30,000 is a good balance. But again, this is all depending on your computer. So test out different bit rates. If you know you have a better computer than me, maybe go higher. If you know you have a worse computer than me, maybe test out with things that are lower. And once you find a bitrate that is good for you, then just leave it at that. So everything else here I left default, but make sure you have YouTube pass encoding checked. I'm not exactly sure what it does, but a lot of people have recommended to me, so I just leave it on there. And again, press apply. And now let's stay there and go to the audio tab. So what you want here is track 1. I'll show you this later on how to separate your tracks, as I said before. Make sure your audio bitrate is at 192 because honestly, that's really good quality. Don't go any lower because audio doesn't really affect the file size that much. If you really want really good audio, you can go all the way up to maybe 256 or even 320 if you want. So I'm actually gonna do that. Why not? My computer can handle it. So I named it mic and desktop audio. You can name it whatever you want. and you press apply. Now we can go to the actual audio tab. So your sample rate here, this is you have to make sure that the sample rate is the same sample rate as your actual microphone. So if you right click and go to your audio settings, I don't know what this thing is called. Right click, go to recording devices. Now this is where your sound is. So this is my microphone here. As you can see, it's the Yeti stereo microphone. Right click, go to properties and go to advanced. And whatever this is at, make sure the OBS is the same. So as you can see, I actually can go to 48,000, but I can't do it because my mic is open in this program. So yeah, so usually I really recommend just doing 48,000, but I can change it right now because I forgot to change it. So yeah, make sure you put sample rate at 48,000. Of course it needs a restart. Make sure channels is at stereo, and make sure you have these. It will start off being all disabled, and so make sure you do desktop audio device. Choose whatever speakers you have, whether it's Realtek or my speakers are my Yeti, because my Yeti has a headphone jack in it, so I can plug in my headphones and I can hear myself while I talk. Plus I can hear my desktop sound. So choose whatever speakers you have. Make sure your desktop audio device 2 is disabled. Now mic auxiliary audio device number 1, make sure you choose your microphone, and make sure number 2 and 3 are disabled, because you don't want 3 microphone tracks in your video. So now once it looks somewhat like this, press apply, and we are totally done with settings. So now we're gonna add our sources and a scene. So basically the scene is the collection of sources. So in one scene here, we can call it whatever you want. I'm gonna rename it to, I'm gonna call it gameplay and Facecam, because with OBS you can add your Facecam pretty easily. You don't even have to edit it and stuff. You can just add it within OBS, and it's very simple. So once you have your scene in your main scene, right click, add a source, and add a game capture. So call it whatever you want. I'm just gonna leave it as game capture. Make sure you have make source visible, then press OK. So in mode, make sure you do capture any full screen application, because you really do want to be playing your games on full screen, so you can get the full experience and stuff. You can choose to capture your cursor if you want, and you can mess around with these settings, but these are the settings that I like. Then you press OK. So as you can, of course there's no game because I have no game playing. Usually it's much easier if you have 2 monitors, because then you can put your OBS on a second monitor and then your game on your one monitor, and then just alt tab, press record, and go back. Or as I said before, you should have set a hotkey. So if you set a hotkey right here, all you would have to do is open up your game, whether it be CSGO, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, Rocket League, or whatever. You open it up, make sure it's on full screen mode, because we have full screen application checked. Then once your game is in full screen, you would just press shift numpad minus or whatever hotkey you did, and then you start recording. So unfortunately, as I said before, there's no like FPS counter on the top corners of the gameplay when you're using OBS. So really it is easier if you have a second monitor, so you can see if it is recording or not. But basically, if you only have one monitor, just open your game, put it in full screen mode, and then press your hotkey, and then do your video. So now that is basically it. So before we end the video, I'm going to teach you how you can separate audio tracks. So I'll actually show you an example of what it looks like here. So I have my editor here, Sony Vegas. So if I drag in an OBS recording that I've done. So this is what I mean when I mean there are 2 separate audio tracks. So as you can see, this is me recording my face cam. I only recorded my face because I use mirrorless action to record the game, so I can separate the 2 things. But you would usually do that here anyways. So as you can see, we have my microphone audio, which is the top audio track. Man, guy couldn't take it. So, and the blue one, which is on the bottom here, is my desktop audio or the game sounds. Okay, there it is. So I was just playing a game here. I was playing Firewatch. So now if I mute my mic audio, my desktop audio still plays because they're on separate tracks. So now as you can see, I'm speaking, but you can't hear my mic.
No, you need to get down there right.
But you can still hear the game. If I do the opposite, mute my game, can't hear the game anymore.
Wait, where is Delilah?
There, you can only hear my mic, and you can not hear the desktop. So that basically a separate audio track means that you can edit each thing separately. So you can, delete your mic on one part and have your game playing on one part, or mute the game or whatever. It's much easier, and you probably already know what this is. You probably already heard of it, but this is just for people who don't know what I'm talking about. So if you want to do this feature, I don't know what you call it, where you have separate audio tracks, what you have to do is go back to OBS, and in the mixer tab here, and also your OBS probably won't look like this. I just modified it So your mixer will probably be down here and your full screen will be up on the top. So just go to wherever your mic, as you can see my green, there's a green bar there. So right click on this, or click on the settings thing of your mic, go to advanced audio properties, and it will take you to this tab. So what you want to do is make sure your mic right here is only on track number 1. So untick every other track. Right, so now as you can see, only track 1 is ticked, and your desktop audio, make sure it is only on track 2. So now it should look like this. Mic is only number 1 box is ticked, and for desktop audio, number 2 box is ticked. Then you press close. Now you have your tracks on separate tracks. So now you actually go back to audio, or I go to output, recording, and make sure 2 audio tracks are selected. So yeah, if you uncheck any of them, you need to have at least 1 track, as I said there. So make sure you're doing 1 and 2, because we have 1 and 2 selected because we have mic and desktop. So now that is how to separate the audio tracks. So now I'm going to add my Facecam. To add a Facecam, you just add another source and go to video capture device. Call it whatever you want. I'm just gonna call it webcam. Press OK. Make sure source is visible. And there you go. There's my face there. Choose your webcam here in this box here. You can configure your video if you want. You can change the brightness and the contrast and stuff. So actually, what you want to do is go to resolution, FPS type, put it on custom. Change your resolution to 1280 by 720. If you have a 1080p webcam, just do 1980 by 1080. So FPS, do 30. Video format, any. Actually, that's fine. Color space, you can choose whatever you want there. Full, and then you press OK. So now, as you can see, it's really big here. You can actually adjust the Facecam and fit it to the whole screen. It snaps to the edges, which is really cool. So as you can see my face there. You don't want your Facecam to be the whole thing because your game capture is underneath it. Shrink it down, put it to whatever corner you want it, and then there you go. So now you have your game. As you can, I don't have a game open again, but you have your full screen game here, which is showing, and then you have your Facecam, and you can put it wherever you want. So that is basically how you can record your PC game with a Facecam. Or you don't have to add a Facecam if you want. If you don't want to add your Facecam, just right click on the webcam and press remove. And then now you would only have your game. So now I'm going to teach you how to record your display. It's the same thing. I'm going to add another scene. I'm going to call it screen capture. Press OK. Now you go to sources, add, and you do display capture. Right here, name it whatever you want, make sure source is visible. And now for display here, make sure you choose your main monitor. As you can see, my main monitor is display 0, 1920 by 1080. Capture cursor, then you press OK. And there you go. Now, as you can see, it has that cool infinity effect. But now I'm recording my whole desktop. You can see my desktop here. So now I can also add my webcam again if you want. But you actually, if you're on a different scene, you don't want to add a new webcam. You want to add the existing video capture source. So go to add video capture device, and instead of clicking create new, go to add existing and then choose video capture device, press OK. And then as you can see my face again. And now you can resize it, put it wherever you want, and there you go. So now you have your webcam recording plus your display, and you can press start recording here, and your video will start. So I'm gonna do that here. Press start recording. Hello, this is a test or whatever, and then say whatever you want. This is your own video. You can actually move your webcam within the video right there. And actually, if you don't want your Facecam to be a rectangle like this, if you hold Alt and drag it in, you can crop it out and you can make your webcam a square. I'm holding Alt right now, let go of it, and now you can move it back. So now we have a square Facecam, and there you go. Pretend that this display is the game, and then there you go. So this is 1080p 60 FPS. I'm gonna press stop recording right now, and then your video is done, and I'll show you what it looks like in my Sony Vegas. So here's the video right here. I have OBS. This is where I saved it to. It's called OBS recordings. This is right here. It actually names it the date and the time. So it is August 24th right now. So as you can see, there's 8:24. So I'm just gonna drag it onto my Sony Vegas. So now, guys, you have your shiny new video at a nice, crisp, smooth 1080p 60 FPS. And again, depending on what bitrate you chose, that's how and more crisp it will be. And now we have your video. You can edit it, play it. Hello, this is a test or whatever, and then say whatever you want. This is your own video. And you have 2 separate audio tracks as already before. Your mic is on one audio track. Your desktop audio, again, I recorded my screen, so there is no game sounds or anything, so it's blank. But if you did have any sounds, it would show up on this audio track, and it is completely separate from your mic. And there you go. Now you pretend that this display is the game, and then there you go. So yeah, and there you go. From here, you can edit your video, save it wherever you want. And that is basically it, guys. So it was a kind of a longer tutorial, but I really wanted to go in depth with everything here. So I hope this video helped you out. If you have any questions or concerns, definitely leave in the comments below. But yeah, this is basically how you can record your PC games with no performance loss or little to no performance loss, with great quality, of course, depending on what settings you chose, with pretty small file sizes. Compared to DxTory, Fraps, and Morels Action, I've noticed that OBS produces much smaller file sizes. Even if you do the higher settings, it produces much smaller file sizes than, you know, those other, and Bandicam and stuff. The file sizes are much smaller compared to those programs at their respective highest settings. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this helped you out. Again, leave questions, because I'll try to answer, or the community here will try to answer. They're pretty nice people. Hope this helped you out, and yeah, enjoy your PC gaming videos. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out, guys.